Can y'all imagine having a post-literate society where there's no need for reading and writing? Well, guess what? That's what I'm going to be discussing in this upcoming episode of Real Reading Talk, where there was an article in the Financial Times that was discussing just this very topic. This is an episode you do not want to miss. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Reading Talk. I am your most gracious host, Miss Seisha. With Real Reading Talk, I discuss the real systemic issues that are at the very core, the very foundation, as to why we have these high levels of illiteracy in the Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together. Excuse me. Welcome, everybody. Let me just say this. Y'all do not know what I had to go through. I was prepared almost an hour ago to do this episode because this is one of the last two episodes that I'm going to be doing before the year ends, okay? So this one, I believe, I'm just going to say this is episode 49, and then my next one is going to be episode 50, which is going to be a special treat for you all because I'm going to be recommending books that you should have in your home libraries for adults as well as for children. So that's just a little teaser of what's going to be the last episode, all right, going into 2025. Well, before I was ready to record everything. Check, I'm waiting to when the record starts, when I click it, and then the lady says, recording in progress or whatever. And I didn't hear anything. I'm like, that's odd. I'm like, I usually hear that, right? So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Check the audio. It still wasn't working. I'm like, what is up? What is up? And so to sum everything up, went to the chat bot through Zoom I'm chatting like, okay, what's going on with my audio? Whoop-de-whoop. They're telling me to try the things that I've already tried. Did that twice. And so what I did was I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to shut this dang on laptop down. And when I shut it down and everything restarted, actually what happened was Zoom got updated. So that was the issue. Okay. So y'all Zoom folks, y'all know what it is, right? Zoom can really, really annoy the hell out of you. You getting ready to record or something. Next thing you know, you're like, what's going on? How come the audio ain't working? How come my speaker ain't with something going in? Next thing you know, you're like, oh, okay, I had to update. So yeah. I don't know. I may going into 2025 have to think of some other streaming or other recording platforms or whatever. Okay. So with that being said, y'all, I am so ready for what is going to be happening in the upcoming year with Real Reading Talk. I have some exciting shows that I want to bring you guys. But for today, I wanted to talk about an article that I feel is extremely important because number one is related to literacy. All right. And number two, it's a reminder to all of us the whole point of me even starting Real Reading Talk, the whole point of me even starting a nonprofit organization 10 years ago called ABC Read, right? The reason why I became a pre-K through fourth grade reading tutor, the reason why I promote reading aloud, the reason why I started Reading is Freedom, okay? Because of the fact that number one, in the Black community, we know that was one of the crucial ways in which they were able to enslave our people, which was to deny them the human right, the God-given right to be able to read. Okay, so that's number one. If you want to enslave a person, if you want to subjugate a person, if you want to oppress a people, what you do is you tell them they cannot read, they cannot learn, they cannot write, they cannot study, they cannot think for their own selves. They cannot be critical thinkers. They cannot be problem solvers. They cannot be somebody who's able to go and research. This is what reading allows you to do. So with this particular article that I came across, because of the fact, shout out to the Nubian platform started by Karen Hunter. Karen Hunter, she is the host of the Karen Hunter Show on the Sirius XM platform. She's also the creator of the Nubian platform, which is a part of Narrative, all right, which she started. And she started all of this which came out of her In Class with Carr Saturday classes that she started on YouTube, where she has Dr. Greg Carr, who is the professor of Africana Studies at Howard University, educating us on everything Black here in America and across the globe, okay? And in this particular episode, the one he just had on this past Saturday, the 28th, where he talked about this article in the Financial Times. And the article is entitled, "Are We Becoming a Post-Literate Society?" written by Sarah O'Connor. And he started talking about the different things in this particular article. I said, oh, I said, look at this here. I said, let me go and read the article for myself, research what he's talking about. He was already dissecting the article in the episode. Please make sure you go check it out. Even if you're not a part of Nubia or Narrative, you can just go to In Class with Carr, type in Karen Hunter, In Class with Carr, and that episode will come up. And what he was referencing was what this lady had found, this information, this, once again, highlighting what I talk about on this platform, which a lot of you who are listening already know, as it pertains to the literacy statistics amongst adults, okay? So peep this, right? One of the things that was just stood out, and I'm just gonna say it right now, 30% of Americans read at a level that you would expect from a 10-year-old. Okay, let me repeat, 30% of Americans read at a level that you would expect from a 10-year-old. So break that down. In the US, 1 out of every 3rd person you meet on the street has difficulty reading simple things. Okay, that's one of the things. So what this article was highlighting, there is a literacy assessment that is given by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, okay? And what they do is they have this particular literacy assessment that they give every 10 years. And this is the one that they had did, which they had given the assessment to 31 different countries and economies. And they had surveyed, or these adults, it was 160,000 adults from these different 31 countries, okay, who had took this assessment in literacy and numeracy, all right? And when they compared the test from when they did it 10 years, the countries that scored the highest was Finland and Denmark, okay? Their proficiency improved significantly. Now, the lowest, again, was, of course, the US, Singapore. Also, it talked about Korea, Lithuania, New Zealand, and Poland's. Their numbers had deteriorated as well. Again, when it talked about the fact of this deterioration of the literacy piece, what they had found is, number one, the reasons behind the decline. So, of course, a lot of you, I'm quite sure, have already guessed what is the main contributing factors. Is folks are being inundated with these devices. They're not spending time reading actual books. And even if somebody is saying, okay, you know what, well, I'm reading books on my device, I got ebooks all the time, or maybe you're listening to books on audio. However, what the article has mentioned is that, again, when you are not able to consume information like longer texts, so for example, being able to read a book in its entirety. All right, and if you go back and watch my other video where I referenced that one article, and I talked about that article, how it talked about how elite students were not able to read. It wasn't that they couldn't read like they were illiterate. It was because they had trouble engaging in longer texts. And that's what it's saying here in this article as well. So people aren't reading whole books like they used to, right? Which, you know, I mean, of course, it makes sense in a way for everybody, because again, you know, technology, you bring in that technology piece, people are like, okay, you know, I don't have to always just get my information, or even especially entertainment, from reading a book. When the TV got invented, we already know that the reading levels had started going down. That was the whole point of why LeVar Burton, the show Real Reading Rainbow, had got created as well, to try to get these kids back into reading. Okay. It says, and it also talked about in this article, in order to be on that top level of the literacy assessment that they had gave, you had to be able, these are three key components. So they talked about being able to distinguish fact from opinion, navigating ambiguity, and managing complexity. Okay. And so what was basically talking about is that when people who are able to score very high when it comes to literacy, when they're able to have that high level of understanding, they're not just, number one, they're able to engage in many different texts. Number two, they're not just reading stuff that affirms what they believe in. They're reading multiple different texts and references. And you have to read things, you have to engage in things that does not align with what you align with, that things that you don't agree with as well, so that you can be able to be versed in what the opposition is. That's just like when somebody is on the speech and debate team. They'll tell you, okay, they tell those debaters, no, you can't just learn about what it is that you're going to argue your point about. You have to learn about the counter arguments. You have to learn about, well, what are they going to say? So that you can already be astute on how to counter that argument, right? And so that's what this article was talking about. So once again, this article was just, it was an underscore. It literally put the exclamation point at the end of what I'm continuously screaming and reminding myself, my children, and all of you out there, is that first and foremost, one of the intentions, one of your Nia, okay, Nia, as we know, for those who celebrate Kwanzaa, that is one of the principles of Kwanzaa, which is having that purpose, that intentionality. That's even an Arabic word, which Nia in Arabic means intention. Okay, so we have to be intentional about making sure that we are reading every single day. If you cannot open up a physical book for whatever reason, make sure that you're either reading an article, you are reading an ebook, you are listening to a book on Audible or some type of platform. Go to YouTube. Make sure you go to my YouTube channel, Reading is Freedom, and subscribe. There are a plethora of read alouds on there. We have to make sure, though, that we are engaging in text, and we do have to make sure that we are getting back into reading physical copies of books. There is something that mental exercise that occurs when we are reading books is key to us being able to have a thriving society. People who are ingenuitive, who are creative, who are problem solvers, they know how to see things ahead, right? They know how to, just like in books, when you talk about that foreshadowing, you're able to predict what's going on because you see the character development, you see how everything is set up, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm like, I've seen this before, I can tell what's about to happen. Those things are good, having that prediction sharpened, those prediction skills sharpened. Okay. All of that stuff happens with reading and reading an actual physical book. So this article right here, literally, when, like I said, shout out to Dr. Greg Carr. That's why I love being able to have the mindset of I want to learn all the time, because I realize the older I get, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know ish, okay? For real. Because of the fact that when you start opening up your mind and you start saying, man, I want to learn this, I want to, you start going down a rabbit hole. That's literally what starts to happen. Because when he started again, like I said, when he started reading from that article from in the Financial Times, I already had in my mind, I said, oh, I'm about to go ahead and read that article and just, give you guys a heads up too, because you know what, a lot of those news sites, you'll start to try to read an article and then they'll say you got to subscribe. That's going to be the same with Financial Times. So you're going to have to, if you want to read that whole article, You're going to have to download the Financial Times app on your phone or whatever, and then you'll be able to read the article for free. Now, I'm going to tell you, I think they'll let you have the account free for 30 days. That's how it works. And then if you obviously want to keep it, then you subscribe. If not, then delete it. But again, that's where I got the article from. And so I just wanted to, and also another important key part, I got my notes here, that the article talked about too. This is very crucial as well, how the use of AI tools. Okay, so of course, I know a lot of you are familiar with Chat GPT, and I think what's that other one called, Gemini. You got all these different little AI tools, right? Artificial intelligence. Okay, and it was saying how, especially when you have those who are like low skilled workers, because once again, for people who struggle with literacy, that's going to affect them in across a multitude of things in their lives, okay? Especially when it comes to their livelihood, especially when it comes to them being able to be gainfully employed, all right? If they do not have high literacy skills, especially at least above a 10-year-old, I mean, come on. They're going to struggle when it comes to being able to find either that employment or even being able to, have a business that they're able to run to where they can, handle their stuff on a high level so that they can be able to thrive in their business, right? Well, what this talked about, this article, it was saying that there is hope, though, for those who are low skilled workers when it comes to them not being as literate because they can use those AI tools. Okay. I don't know if you all know, but a lot of our kids, they go in there and they're like, okay, I need to write a paper on whatever subject. It can be some science subject. I was trying to think of something like real quick. It could be a subject on, I forgot. It's whatever. But anyway, they're trying to write an article on something and they did not do any studying, research, reading, whatever, probably struggling with reading. And they're like, you know what? AI, type that in, can you? And they just literally type it in, probably what's on the syllabus, right? But the thing, what they talked about here is that you still have to have a basic fundamental knowledge of literacy in order to even use these AI tools effectively. Because if you don't, then you're not really going to know what words or things that you need to plug in to be able to help you in whatever it is that you're doing. And it said, one of the things it said, if you do not know what to ask these AI tools because you don't have the language, then you will always be dependent on the machine or you will become a subject to it. Okay. So what does that mean? It's okay for those of you, especially my old heads out there, and I'm talking about my generation and up. I know that whole AI, even when I first heard about it, I'm like, man, you know what? You can't think for yourself. Like, what's the problem? Now it's these machines. But the thing is that, and this is just my basic little limited knowledge on it. So don't, I ain't trying to act like I'm just real versed in artificial intelligence. Okay. But one of the little small things that I learned is that with AI, literally, it's whatever information you're putting in, it's going to spit out. So the more language, the more things that you're able to explain that you need, then the more you're going to get back. Because all it is getting from us as human beings anyway, just like a computer, right? That information, when we're Googling, that information, it had to come from the first brain computer, like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing talked about. This is the first computer, our brain. And so whatever it is you have in your brain and you're able to put into these particular tools to utilize, then that's what you're going to get out. So of course, if you don't have a very expansive vocabulary or language or understanding of what it is you're trying to put in, then you're not going to really get anything meaningful back from it. And then also, again, you're going to be dependent upon it. So yes, I had to say all of that mouthful. This is very, very important. And also, too, I just wanted to share with you guys, for those of you just in understanding what the definition of post-literate means. So this is a hypothetical society in which multimedia has advanced to the point where literacy, the ability to read or write, is no longer necessary. And that's the thing that we have to say to ourselves, is that the kind of society that we need, where reading and writing is not necessary? And when I read that, it made me think about, I said, one of the things that came to my mind, I said, all praise is due to Allah, alhamdulillah, because as Muslims, we believe that the first verse, the first ayah, the first sign that was given to our beloved Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings of God be upon him, was to read in the name of thy Lord, the Creator. That was the first verse that was revealed to him. And then it goes on further with a couple of verses underneath talking about how God, Allah, had taught man how to write. So literally, this example of how extremely important it is for us as human beings to not play with the fact that God-given right of us being able to read, to write, to study, to research, to learn, that is something that's an obligation for us to have. That is something that we must make sure that we do not allow anybody to strip from us. Remember, we are in a society now where they definitely are trying their best to turn the tables backwards by saying, oh, no, you can't read these books. Oh, no, you can't talk about that information. Penalizing these teachers, telling them, no, you can't teach about the enslavement of African people. We have to call that a immigration, right? Forced immigration. That's the word. Let me make sure we put forced in there. Like we can't say a total immigration. They be like, man, we really, really, really lying. So we got to put the word forced in front of it. These are things that's a part now of this curriculum. And we already know that was, going to happen when y'all, the orange person, Trump, okay, came into office. He already was making it clear, like, oh yes, ignorance, yes, is about to be full blown. We're about to take it way, way back. But we don't have to be scared. And that's the thing. Just like how I was able to go through that article and share with you guys. And again, I am highly imploring you all to please make sure anything that I reference, make sure you go check it out, read it. And if it's something that I made a mistake on, I welcome any corrections. Okay? Because I know I'm human and I'm not infallible. Okay? I make mistakes. All right? And so, but that's the thing. That's why I have built this community, this real reading talk, and reading is freedom. Okay. Having this community of us being able to discuss how we will push back, fight back, tooth, nail, foot, whatever we need, so that we do not have some post-literate society where, oh, we don't need reading and writing anymore. Oh, yeah, we could just depend on, just people just, talking to us or just being entertained or whatever. Oh, no, the hell we ain't. You're not about to take that away from me. No, you will not. And so that's the attitude that I want us to have moving forward going into 2025. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. And again, I hope this information was beneficial. And I hope that you all remember to make sure that you are continuously implementing the reading every single day, at least for 30 minutes. For adults, I'm going to recommend an hour. I say 30 minutes because that's just like base. Okay, like we should at least be getting 30 minutes in. And I'm going to recommend 30 minutes at least of a physical copy of a book. All right, period. Or get the newspaper. You still got some of our folks who still subscribe to the actual paper newspaper, which I think is great because there are studies in that. I'm not about to go into because that'd be a whole nother podcast, but there are studies in that talking about how, actually, you turn in the pages and flip in and being able to go back and read. And it's good because if you have your pens, you have your highlighters, you can go back, all of that. That right there actually helps you to retain that knowledge a lot better. And then you're not affected by if you're reading something, especially on an ebook, and then you got the lights, all of that stuff contributes to you and your brain, and it kind of, messes up your eyes. There's so many negatives to that, even though there's some benefit, but there's a lot of negative. That's why I'm always going to promote that physical copy of a book. All right. And then it looks good too, y'all. Don't you love, like, you'll go into a house and you'll see they got a dope bookshelf. They got a plethora of books. You're just like, wow, they may not have read them all. But just the fact that you see this dope library, that's why people who are rich and you go into their homes, you're going to see them have the massive libraries. They're not going to have TVs all around. They have maybe one or two televisions, have their, den with a television or something like that, or maybe the basement decked out with but you're going to see massive libraries, beautiful decked out libraries in people's homes who understand that reading and having books is more valuable than watching television or being on a device. All right. So thank you all again for listening to this episode 49 of Real Reading. So it's either 49 or 50, but I know the next one that I'm going to do, I'm going to say is 50. Okay. I had messed up my numbers. It's whatever. All right, y'all. So thank you all, and make sure that you share. Make sure that you like and subscribe because this will be uploaded to YouTube. And make sure that you continue to keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. All right. And this has been another episode of Real Reading Talk. Again, my name is Miss Sasha. Real Reading Talk is the place in which we discuss the real systemic issues at the very core, the very foundation as to why we have high levels of illiteracy in the Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together. Bam! I'm out. Peace. All right, everybody. Once again, I thank you all for listening to the episode. I hope that you gained much benefit, and I hope that it was some light entertainment for you as well. So, a little quick housekeeping. I am a pre-K through fourth grade reading tutor. So if you're looking for that reading tutor for your baby who needs help with their reading comprehension, they need phonemic awareness help, they need phonics help, they need basic writing skills, make sure that you reach out to me, abclearntutoring.com. Click on the free reading assessment today. Also, make sure that you follow me on Facebook, IG, LinkedIn, all right? And follow me at ABC Learn. Also, follow our organization, ABC Read, as well, the nonprofit that I started 10 years ago. Oh my goodness, giving away close to 8,000 books, y'all, culturally relevant, dope reading experiences. Go to abcread.org. We welcome you to look at what we've done, and please donate if you are able to. Again, Reading is Freedom. That is the brand that I started. Go to readingisfreedomshop.com if you want to grab your hoodie. Y'all see? Yes, that's right. The reason why I started Reading is Freedom after reading his narrative, y'all. Please go grab your mug, go grab your hoodie. All right. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Reading is Freedom. Okay. While you're in your car, you can't read the physical copy. You can just listen to some stories on my YouTube channel. Okay. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end again. And I thank you all for listening to another episode of Real Reading Talk. My name is Miss Sasha, and you all take care. Talk to you next time. Peace.